Good Wednesday morning, everybody. Chris Allen here on the Sam channel, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter. All sponsored by Ace Hardware Marketplace, starring Weather Stick, which is blue today, which means good weather. Better weather, even though we're still getting a few showers around the area this morning. Radar showing that. Just kind of the last little bit of rain that is coming through. We had some pretty good rainfall overnight, about a tenth to a quarter inch. Some locations back in western Kentucky picked up a little bit more than that. I'll show you some of the mesonet returns here in just a few minutes. But as you can see, as of 4:45 this morning, all of this is about to come to an end. And I think the rest of the day is going to be dry for us. Oh, by the way, I'll be back on the radio this morning. I'm feeling better, hopefully looking better. I tell you that what is it? Stomach bug. Some call it rhinovirus and all that. I can see why they call it rhinovirus. It's like a rhino went up and came back out. It feels like it. Here's a look at the model blender over the next several days, the 10-day stretch. Looking warm, nice and warm. 61, around 60, 61 today. We'll get down in only into the mid 50s tonight as warmer air stays in place. And then we wait on the next round of rain, which is going to come in for late tomorrow and into Friday. Big rains coming in, by the way. Look at that, 77. Wow. Warm, spring-like. Oh, it is spring, by the way. Second full day of spring today, officially. As you can see, we stay in the 60s and 70s for a while. The coolest day that I can see for us over the next 10 days is Tuesday, when we only get up into the upper 50s, but even that is not that far off of the average, which is 62, which will hit the next day. And they go right back up into the upper 60s to near 70 as we get into next weekend, which will be the beginning of April. April Fool's Day there at the very end of that chart, the 10-day blender, April 1st, 69, 70 if you want. No fooling. We're not going to fool with the forecast. I know I like to fool around, joking around, sarcasm, and that's kind of my blend of humor. But we won't do that with the weather. It is what it is. It's going to stay fairly warm. By the way, yesterday's high in Bowling Green, 58. The average 62, so we were only 4 degrees shy of the average high for the day, and we picked up 14 hundredths of an inch of rain for the 24-hour period here in Bowling Green, measured at the Bowling Green Airport. But what about everybody else, including you? Well, we've got the Kentucky Mesonet Network at Western Kentucky University to take care of those measurements. And as you can see, over the past 24 hours, about like I said, about a tenth of an inch, maybe 2/10 of an inch down in Franklin, almost 3/10 of an inch of rain around Russellville. Then the amounts amounts get higher as you move west, half inch over in what is that, Trigg County? Yep, Cadiz. And then you go over toward Callaway County and back into western Kentucky, you see 6/10, almost 3/4 of an inch of rain. That's where the heaviest of rains have fallen, and then they just kind of slack off as you move off to the east. But generally, here in southern Kentucky in the Sam listening area, about a tenth to 2/10 of an inch of rain, maybe a quarter inch or so. All right, let's check temperatures right now, and it's mild. Most everybody across the Commonwealth starting in the mid to upper 40s this morning. Not a bad start, really, to this day, with those light rain showers and a few sprinkles still just kind of hanging around this morning, but they'll soon move away, and we're looking at a drier day ahead for us once we get past this little bit of energy. Okay, let's take a look now at the ebb and flow, I like to call it, or the surface maps with the model, and show you how things are going to play out. This is right now. We've got the jet stream energy and the dividing line between the really cold air and the warm air. We're getting more of that zonal Pacific flow. It's coming back in here and it's building over the southeast, which is good for us because that means warmer air. Here are the showers that are exiting the area this morning, and we'll continue to move on. And then we wait for the next system to come in and organize. And this one, with the low pressure system, that's looking at about 994 millibars as we get into Friday morning. This is late Thursday night into Friday morning. A more organized system is going to come in with some heavier rainfall. And I do mean heavy rainfall. You can see here as the moisture gets kind of scrunched together, compacted together, even the jet stream taking a dive here with some colder air trying to come in back behind it. But we'll be under that warm Pacific flow and Gulf of Mexico flow that's going to push all that moisture right up into southern Kentucky. I do think, I do think we have the possibility of some maybe localized minor flooding during the day on Friday, maybe even starting Thursday night. But Friday looks to be the best time to get a lot of rain and maybe even some stronger thunderstorms. But I'm not so concerned about the severe weather threat out of this. I think that'll be further co-located southwest of this system, while we will get more of the heavy rain. So if you've got something planned for Friday, uh, even Friday night into early Saturday, I'd say the biggest story is going to, well, two things. Heavy rain, number one. Number two, winds. In fact, starting today and the next several days, winds are going to be a factor. You can see that. Let me get the let me do a little black color here. See all these lines together? I mean, they're a little faint there because I didn't want it to take away from looking at the rest of this. But these are all equal lines of pressure. From this high pressure to this low pressure, there is a almost like a tunnel, like a wind tunnel. Sorry, microphone. Wind tunnel, compression together, and that causes the winds. Temperature change. Anytime the temperature changes, the winds will change as well. And anytime we see those isobars or equal lines of pressure compacted together, that's going to create that almost big, you know, tunnel effect of the wind. And it's just going to shove those winds right in here. Now, I'm not talking about the kind of winds we had, what was it, 3 weeks ago? Not that, not 75-mile-per-hour winds, but the winds are going to be breezy starting today. Okay. Tomorrow, they'll be there. Friday, they'll be there, and even into Saturday. So today, tomorrow, Friday, Saturday. 4 days worth of breezy conditions. So if you're doing anything outdoors that the wind is going to be your enemy, I would, try to, reschedule it. Or if you can get by with, it's going to be the pesky winds, which are sustained at about, 15 to 25. And then occasionally we have 35 to 45 gusts. So it's going to be that plus all this rain on Friday. So that's going to be your worst day out of the next few days. Then you see the heavy rains moving through. We get into Saturday, just a little coolish. See it there, a little cooler, little dip in the jet stream, not much of one. but just enough to give us just a little bit of taste of some cooler air for just a short time. But then after that, we continue to warm up. See there, it retracts now. It goes back to the north. That's because of the stronger Pacific flow that's going to again take over, and we're not going to cool off that much. There's going to be a couple of cold fronts that come through, but we're not going to get like we did last weekend where we just bottomed out and we had 4 nights. My nose is still sinusy. 4 nights of that incredibly cold weather where the lows dipped into the 20s and below freezing. But we're not going to do that this time. We're going to have 4 days of breezy weather. That's the difference. And so this will be a more spring-like pattern that will take us into the weekend. There's another little chance of rain, as you see there, that comes in for Monday. It's not much of a chance. And then we get on into the beginning of next week. Notice that low at a 1010 millibar. That's weak, pretty weak, but it's caught in that flow of where we're going to stay warm and we're going to stay occasionally showery. It's not going to be always showery, but it's going to be little hints of rain now and then. Now, the concern is, as I mentioned, about flooding on Friday or the possibility of that. This is why you can see here this is the QPF. This is taking in the next 5 days and looking at how much precipitation could fall. You can see right along the Ohio River some of that kind of an orange, yellow, gold color. Well, that's indicating 4 inches plus southern Indiana and along the Ohio River. That's where the bullseye of really any very heavy rain is going to occur. And I mean the kind of rain that can cause some minor flooding. Here, we're going to be just on the fringes of what looks to be on the chart here, 2.5. Locally, there could be a couple of places that pick up 3 inches of rain. Now, that's a pretty decent rainfall. It's not going to hit all at once, but we're talking about what comes in uh, Thursday night into Friday, ending early Saturday. Then we get a break, or Saturday, I should say. And then Sunday, we get a break, but Sunday night into Monday, we get a little bit more rain. So this takes into account all of that collectively. So it's not all at once. That's good. But I still think because if you look around, you look at the Green River, you look at the Rough River, you look at some of the lakes and the tributaries. I know when I went across Barren River Lake yesterday, only close to the dam was it up, but you go on out 31E and you go toward Glasgow, and you can see the bottom. So it's you can only see the river current or the lake bed currents, and that's about all you can see. But there are other parts like the Rough River at Dundee. You go over toward Woodbury, Rochester, the Green River. It's been up for a while. This may be enough to close the ferry there. When you add another 2 to 3 inches of rain on top of that, it could become a problem. So I'm just letting you know ahead of time that could become an issue just based on the amount of rainfall that we're looking at in the next few days. How about severe weather? The only thing that looks like it's going to be close would be on Friday if, and this is a big if we get sunshine. This is going to be one of those where, yes, there's some wind shear, there's plenty of instability, but not enough to cause a big issue with severe weather. I think as I draw it on the map, severe weather is going to be something a little more southwest of us. And as you can see, there is a level 2 slight risk there from about Madisonville to Russellville, Paducah, southwest Kentucky. For Bowling Green and much of southern Kentucky, it's a level 1 marginal risk, but even that is what I call conditional because it all depends on how much sun we get that day and how much instability we get, whether we even see any severe weather or not. Right now, I'm going to keep the possibility of that pretty low, unless I see something change in the next day or two. But just to give you a heads up, that's a possibility. The winds, nevertheless, are going to be a problem the next few days. Okay, on to the surface map now. And we're seeing, things pretty quiet here this morning. The showers, as you see there, are moving out and falling apart. High pressure begins to fill in the gap here, waiting on the next to get organized here in the plains and the ones following behind it in the Rockies. So we get a little boundary that's set up here. Most of the activity is going to be north of us as we get into tomorrow and then into tomorrow afternoon. And then here comes the front. And you see all these red lines within the green. That means thunderstorms. Now, I do think that we are going to get thunder, lightning, and wind on Thursday night, Friday, and maybe even into early Saturday. Thunderstorms, yes, but not necessarily severe weather. Again, the severe weather part is pretty conditional at this point, and I'm going to keep it that way until I see something different. Here you see just general heavy rainfall with occasional rumbles of thunder. That's the way it looks on Friday. Okay, this is actually Thursday night. Here we go into Friday morning. The front just almost stalls and just kind of sits there, and we rain and rain and rain over the same areas. That's why there's the possibility of some flooding, at least minor flooding. But then by Saturday, it moves on out. We get a secondary front. You see the winds there still roughly breezy. And this thing is going to move out, I think, pretty quickly after that. And then we go into Sunday, pretty quiet. And then Monday, here's the next system. This looks to be just a general spring-like rain, maybe a thunderstorm, garden variety type thing. Not that big of a deal. Tuesday, it's out of here. And another front comes through with maybe just a small shot of some slightly cooler air. But as you saw in the 10-day blender, whatever little pieces of cooler air comes in is just not going to last that long. We're into spring. Spring. Yay. I guess spring is the time for stomach bugs and rhinovirus and whatever that thing was. Whew, I'm just happy to be better, which means I'm headed to the radio station to be back on with you this morning at Sam 100.7. I hope you give it a listen this morning. Thank you for watching and listening. God bless you. Have a great day, and I'll see you on the radio.